Joining us now, Sean Spicer, NewsNation contributor and former White House press secretary and Republican strategist. Sean, good morning to you, and thanks as always. Using these cases and the attention benefits Trump. We've seen it happen time and time again, but you know him, the threat of losing some of the gems of his real estate, that has to strike a different chord personally.
Yeah, but I think to the point of that package that you just let in with, there's a difference between it happening and the steps that have to be taken in the interim to get it to happen. I think while it's happening, it benefits him politically. He looks at this as an attempt to portray himself as a victim, to talk about how everyone else wouldn't be able to fight this. He at least has the means to do it. They're coming after him because they want to get at you. You've heard the rhetoric before. If we get to a point where they're actually seizing assets, I think that's going to change the dynamic. There's risk for both sides, Marni. If Tish James goes after a property and looks like she's overreaching on a guy who's running for president, not just running for president, but the leading candidate right now in the polls, this could be portrayed as election interference by the Republican side. And I think you're going to get a lot of sympathy on that side. He's appealing this, right? So this is it's very different than if the judgment was due and there was nothing left to exhaust. While he's appealing this, I think he's making the case that this is insane, that you have to post the full bond for the amount due in the interim, because if you sell the property, you're going to lose. You can't get it back, right? You can't then turn around after you sell it and say, I'd like it back for the same price. That's just not how it works. Anyone who's been in real estate. And there's no way that anybody has $500 million just lying around. From an investment standpoint, being that liquid probably wouldn't make that much sense. So, again, I think that where we are in the process makes a big difference in this right now. And I have a feeling that, once again, this is going to benefit Trump in the eyes of so many folks who may not otherwise feel sympathetic for him.
What do you think of the argument, we don't have the money, Sean? Is that just a delay tactic from Trump's team?
No, not at all. As I said, I mean, I think it probably wasn't the most helpful thing that he said that he did. But at the end of the day, think about this. Who carries that kind of money in cash, right? You either have it tied up in real estate, stocks, bonds. You don't become a successful business person by leaving $500 million in cash in a savings account at 1.2% interest. So there's no question that most people, anybody, couldn't have close to this amount lying around, which means you have to liquidate assets to get it. And how do you do that? Well, if it's in real estate, which is clearly what most of his is, it means that you have to sell it. Then you can't get it back. And I think the case that they should be making to the court is, you're going to prejudicially harm us while we're appealing this case, and we will lose money even if we win. If the judgment ultimately comes out for President Trump after the appeal, or even a lesser amount, him having to liquidate these properties isn't something that you can turn around at the end, even after a favorable verdict, and say, I want my property back. The transaction cost, the price of the property will have gone up and changed. You will lose money. And I think that's a very important case to make to the court.
Right. The political ramifications, though, is the other side of this coin. Is he facing a cash crunch in 2024, given the financial burden of his court cases?
Well, there's two cash aspects to your question. I think one is the political question. How much campaign cash does he have to spend on his campaign? He infused a bunch of it at the end of 2016 when I was there. Again, there's a big difference between having assets. Most people, if you think about it as a viewer right now, you think, okay, I've got a 401k, I've got some money tied up in stocks, I might own a house or a second home or something like that. There's a difference between being liquid and having assets. And I think that's a big question for him, is how much of this is tied up and how much are you willing to part with right now? How much are you putting on the chopping block to sell to get liquid? And there's a difference between using that money for your own political campaign, say, or some other personal reason, and putting it up for a bond while you're on appeal.
Yeah. And in the meantime, maybe the RNC helps you out with your cash crunch. We'll see. Sean, thank you.
Well, they might be able to help out on the campaign side, but they can't help out on the personal side.
Well,
secondly, I mean, I think that
we help out on the legal side.
Right. Well, no, he's actually happy. It's a waterfall effect, which means that right now it goes Trump campaign, Save America Super PAC, then the RNC. His Super PAC will be getting the funds before the RNC. That's where the legal funds will come from. But then on the personal side, you guys have been reporting this before as well. There's this infusion of cash that's going to come through the Truth Social stock IPO that's happening. can he actually finagle some way to make that liquid? That, I think, is probably the easiest way to get around this.
All right. And you can see getting ready for his hearing on the hush money case in New York. Sean, thank you. As always, we'll see you again soon. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.